Jungkook lay sprawled on his bed, the room still and quiet, save for the soft hum of the fan overhead. The sunlight filtered in lazily through the curtains, casting a warm glow on the room. Yet despite the sun's scorching rays, Jungkook remained unmoving. The alarm clock on his bedside table blinked at 9:30 a.m., but there was no indication that the young man intended to wake up anytime soon. His deep, rhythmic breathing was the only sign that he was even alive. The door to his room creaked open, and his sister-in-law Minji peeked her head inside. Her face was drawn with impatience. "Jungkook," she called softly, "time to get up." No response. She tried again, this time with a little more volume. "Jungkook, get up. We are leaving for the farmhouse today." Still no movement. Minji sighed, crossing her arms. This wasn't the first time she had to drag Jungkook out of bed for one of their family trips. She walked over to his side, leaned down, and without a second thought splashed a glass of cold water straight into his face. Jungkook jolted awake, gasping for air, his heart pounding in his chest. His eyes fluttered open, squinting against the sudden shock of coldness. His face was dripping in his hair a mess. "What the hell, Minji?" he grumbled, wiping his face with the back of his hand. He shot her a glare, his mood clearly soured by the rude awakening. She stood there unfazed, a smirk playing at the corner of her lips. "We are going to the farmhouse, Jungkook. Whether you like it or not, still planning on sleeping?" Jungkook scowled, rolling over onto his back, sinking into the softness of his pillows. "I don't wanna go," he muttered, his voice thick with sleep. "I'm fine here. You go on without me." Minji crossed her arms, her patience wearing thin. "You are coming, and that's final. Get up, or I'll make you regret it." With an exaggerated groan, Jungkook finally sat up, dragging himself out of bed. "Fine, fine," he muttered as he sluggishly stumbled towards the bathroom. The sound of the water running in the bathroom could be heard from the other side of the house. As Jungkook took his sweet time, Minji rolled her eyes and went downstairs to inform the rest of the family. When Jungkook finally emerged, he looked like a man who had been forced out of his natural habitat. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair still tousled, and his face was barely awake. As he made his way down the stairs, she saw his mother, grandmother, brother, and Minji all gathered in the living room, chatting away as they prepared to leave. Jungkook couldn't help but comment, "Why this old woman still coming along?" He pointed at his grandmother, who was sitting in a corner, fiddling with her purse. His grandmother, a stern woman even in her old age, didn't take kindly to his sarcasm. In an instant, she shot up from her seat, walked over to him, and smacked the back of his head. It was more playful and painful, but it still made him wince. "Don't be rude, Jungkook," she scolded, her eyes twinkling despite the reprimand. Jungkook chuckled, rubbing the back of his head, his lips curling into a grin despite his best efforts to remain moody. All right, sorry, Granny." His mother, seated beside his grandmother, shook her head with a soft laugh. "You'd better be on your best behavior this weekend. We are all going to have fun, whether you like it or not." Jungkook muttered something under his breath but didn't argue further. With a sigh, he trudged towards the front door where the car was waiting. The family piled into the car, the atmosphere a mixture of excitement and reluctant grumbling from Jungkook. He slouched in his seat, arms folded, staring out the window as the world passed by. The farmhouse was only a few hours away, but for Jungkook, it felt like a lifetime. The car hummed down the road, the rhythmic sound of tires against the asphalt filling the otherwise tense silence. Jungkook sat in the back seat, his arms crossed tightly against his chest, his eyes glued to the window. His mother and grandmother sat beside him, chatting quietly. His brother Ji-hyun was driving, his hands relaxed on the wheel as he navigated the road. Jungkook glanced at his brother from the corner of his eye, then turned to Minji, who was sitting beside him. He leaned forward, his voice thick with irritation. I can't sit here. I wanna drive. Minji shot him a sideways glance, a raised eyebrow betraying her amusement. No, I don't trust your driving skills, she replied with a firm shake of her head. We are going to the farmhouse, not heaven, for a picnic. Let's not stress ourselves out. His grandmother, who was sitting on the other side of, chuckled softly at the exchange. His mother too smiled at Jungkook's obvious frustration. Jungkook scrunched his face in disbelief. But I'm a good driver. You just never give me a chance. Minji ignored him, her eyes forward, focusing on the road ahead. The car moved in relative silence for a few moments. The only sound was the low hum of the engine, the occasional crack of the radio in the background. Then Jungkook spoke again, this time his voice tensed with curiosity. Why are we going this way? Our farmhouse is the other direction, right? Minju didn't look at him, but the corner of her lips curled into a small smirk. My sister Ryan is coming with us. We are going to pick her up. Jungkook's eyes widened in surprise. What? No, that devil comes with us. I don't agree to this. His voice was louder now, but his brother Ji-hyun didn't even flinch. We didn't ask your opinion, he said calmly, his eyes focused on the road. It's our decision. You can stay quiet. Granny chuckled softly from the side, her voice like a dry rasp. You two never learned, do you? She said with a knowing look. Jungkook shot her an icy glare, but she only laughed harder. Shut up, Granny, he muttered under his breath, turning to look out the window again. His irritation was almost palpable. The journey continued, the car moving smoothly through the streets. Jungkook's annoyance, however, didn't subside. He spent the next few minutes sulking, staring out the window as the world passed by. Finally, the car slowed to a stop. Jungkook looked up from his sulking as the car came to a halt in front of a large building. He didn't recognize it immediately, but his eyes darted to the side and then it hit him, that dorm. Wait, we are here, Jungkook asked, his tone a mixture of surprise and disbelief. Minji nodded. Yeah, Wine is waiting for us. Don't just sit there. Jungkook didn't move, his arms still crossed, his face crunched in frustration. He glanced sideways at Minji, hoping to see some sympathy, but she was too busy opening the car door and stepping out. As the door opened, you stepped forward. You were already standing on the sidewalk, waiting for the car to arrive. Jungkook immediately noticed the luggage in your hands. The oversized suitcase that looked like it was almost as big as you. You seemed to be in a hurry, but your gaze flicked to him briefly before you turned and headed to the trunk. Jungkook, still in the back seat, narrowed his eyes. What the hell is she doing here? Minji already walked towards the back of the car to greet you, ignored him. Jungkook, get out. You can't just sit here forever. He didn't burst. I'm not getting out. I don't want to sit with her. Jungkook, we don't have time for this, Minji said, a warning tone in her voice. Before he could protest further, you opened the trunk and started putting your luggage in. Minji was quick to approach you, giving you a smile as she asked, "Wine, would you mind sitting up front? It's a little crowded in here." You looked at her, then at Jungkook in the back seat. Before nodding, you made your way around the car and slid into the back seat, right next to him. But the moment you sat down, there was an immediate tension. The space felt cramped, the air heavy. Jungkook shifted uncomfortably in his seat, trying to make some room. "Move over," he muttered under his breath. "No way," you sat back, glaring at him. "You move." Minju looked at both of you, her expression serious. "Enough of this, Jungkook. You will have to adjust. We don't have time for bickering." Jungkook, his frustration boiling over, opened his mouth to protest, but Minju was already giving him that look. The one that said if he didn't comply, she would make things even worse for him. "Fine," he muttered, "but you're not getting away with this." In one swift motion, he grabbed your wrist and pulled you down onto his lap, effectively pushing you into a corner of the back seat. You gasped in shock, your face flushing red as you tried to wiggle free. "What the hell are you doing?" you shouted, trying to push yourself off him. "Get off." But Jungkook just smirked, leaning back lazily, his arms loosely resting around you. "You're not going anywhere. We will just have to adjust." Minji glanced over and the two of you and rolled her eyes. "Adjust one, you're fine." Your eyes flipped to Minji and you stared at her in disbelief. "You can't be serious." "I am. Just sit still, okay?" Minji said firmly. Granny, who had been watching the exchange with a bemused look on her face, spoke up from the front seat. "You two should just get married already. The chemistry is obvious." You and Jungkook both froze, staring at her with wide eyes. "What?" you both yelled in unison. Granny chuckled, enjoying every second of the confusion she had just caused. "You two argue like a married couple. It's just too funny." Jungkook glared at her, his face darkening with anger. "We are not getting married, Granny. Not now, not ever." You, equally embarrassed, nodded in agreement. "Yeah, no chance, even in hell." Before anyone could say another word, the car suddenly jerked forward, the driver slamming on brakes. The sudden movement made both of you jerk towards each other, your faces inches apart. There was a strange, uncomfortable silence that filled the space between you. The tension, however, wasn't just in the air, it was physical. The closeness was overwhelming, and neither of you knew how to handle it. "Could you drive a little more smoothly?" Jungkook grumbled, his voice tight as he straightened up, trying to regain some distance between you two. "I didn't do anything," you snapped, still not sure how to feel about the situation. Granny chuckled once more, her voice like honey. "See, told you." Jungkook and you shot her a glare, both secretly wishing the journey would end sooner. Then the car finally came to a stop in front of the farmhouse, the gravel crunching under the tires as it came to a halt. For the first time in hours, there was a sense of relief in the air. The long ride had been a mixture of silent glares, forced proximity, and uncomfortable tension, but now it seemed like the family stepped out in fresh air away from the suffocating atmosphere of the car and moving forward, leaving you both. Inside the car, Jungkook and you both moved towards the door at the same time. Without thinking, you both reached for the handle together, your fingers brushing. The unspoken bond between you both, the one that had been hidden, was starting to feel more visible now. Jungkook snapped out first, followed by you. The moment you got out of the car, you felt a sudden urge to talk, to break the awkward silence, but before you could say anything, Jungkook turned towards you, a quiet smile tugging at the corner of his lips. His hand instinctively went to your shoulder, pulling you into a soft, almost protective embrace. The hug was brief, just a small moment of comfort between the two of you, but it was enough. You guys thought they were moving forward and didn't cut you both, but then, from behind you, Minji's voice rang out sharp and clear. Oh my god, are you two serious? You and Jungkook immediately pulled away, both of you blushing. Your faces turned bright red as you tried to hide the awkwardness of the situation. But it was too late. The family had seen it. Your grandmother, who had just stepped out of the car, narrowed her eyes. Minji, don't tease them, his mother added, but her voice held a certain softness, as though she had known all along. Minji thought wasn't done. She crossed her arms, a smirk playing on her lips, as she looked between you two. Come on, you two, you really thought you could keep this a secret? Jungkook opened his mouth to protest, but Minji held up a hand, cutting him off. We have known for a while, she said nonchalantly, her tone light. We just needed a little nudge to get you both to admit it. So surprise, surprise, this was all part of the plan. You and Jungkook both blinked, taken aback by the calmness in her voice. What do you mean? You asked, still in shock. Minji's smirk grew. Oh please, the way you two look at each other, the late night whispers, the secret smile. Thank you for watching.